What's up everyone? Welcome to my messy shop. Today we're not going to be talking about bikes. That's normally what it means when I'm in the shop, especially if I've got something in the stand, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today it's all about this right here, the HOVERAir X1 ProMax. I'm going to start off with a full disclosure. This was sent to me for free by HOVERAir to test out and to review. There are no expectations on this video aside from, making sure I mention a few features or things like that, but there's no expectation that I'm going to say, this is the greatest thing ever, you need to get it. So just want to get that out of the way, be fully transparent. Usually my reviews of things, I am returning that item. It's not mine, I just have it temporarily, but this is one of the few exceptions. So as they call it, this is the world's first 8K flying action camera. So while I'll probably refer to it as a drone, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, a quadcopter, that's kind of what they call it, a flying action camera. And I think that's actually a great description. It is primarily for recording things. It does have a manual mode that you can unlock after using some of their preset modes at first, to where you can fly it with your phone, basically controlling, the turning up and down, all of that type of stuff. But I have found that the preset modes are probably my favorite thing about it, because it is all about getting those shots that you might not be able to get without another person there. As you can see, it is very small, very compact. When you fold it up, it's 4x6, that's it. And it weighs less than half of a pound, so it's easy to carry around. You can fit it in a pocket, whether that is your back pocket on your pants or in your sweatshirt or in a jacket. It fits in there nice and easy. It's also very easy to obviously stuff in a backpack or something like that. One of my favorite things about it is the cage over the four propellers. Full disclosure on that is because I have crashed it a couple of times. But generally, the OmniTerrain collision system that they have works really, really well. And that is what they use. You can see there's a camera on the back. It's got this main one on a gimbal on the front, and then there is one on the bottom. So it has all of these different sensors and cameras to help it avoid obstacles and as well as to track you. So it's using AI in some way to do that. It's using object detection. It picks you up, locks onto you, and then that is used to follow you, either flying behind you or to track you, where it's staying still and it sees you and it's kind of pointing the camera towards you. That system also tends to work really well over snow, water, things which are more reflective, which in the past have caused problems for these because they're trying to figure out what they're over. Given that it is January, I have only been riding over snow, and it's done really well with that. There are 9 preset modes that come as part of the app, including hover, where it's just sitting there and it can lock onto you and follow you, but it's stationary. There's also a bird's eye, where it's gonna fly up and you can have it turn around or not if you want, and choose the height that you want it to go up. There's a zoom out mode where it's gonna fly away from you. So if you've got a really cool view behind you or you want it to see where you're at to film that, it's gonna fly up and get that. And then the ones that I'm the most excited about is there's a follow mode, which just follows you, obviously. But specifically there is a cycling mode and a ski mode. Ski mode's not one that I have tried, but the cycling mode is very cool. What it does is you're able to choose where you want the shot. Do you want it flying up high and far away? Do you want it down flat, a flat shot, or even lower, kind of where you're almost at the level of the tires? You can also have it come in a lot closer. You can have the video be horizontal or vertical. There's a whole bunch of customizing on there. Specifically for cycling, there is also the ability to choose, are you in an open area or are you on a really narrow, tight trail? I'm not sure exactly what that actually changes, but I'm assuming what it does is it's gonna change how sensitive it is in looking for obstacles. On that note, the crashes that I have had, there's been 2 cases of this. One is that the camera does have a hard time picking up very small or very fine objects. In my case, I was riding along and it was in dolly track mode where it's flying backwards. and it's recording you like this, and you're coming at it. And it's flying backwards, tracking you. What happened is it came around, there was a curve, and seems to handle curves just fine. But in dolly track mode, it went to the side, and there were some very thin twigs. It was basically a shrub that obviously doesn't have leaves on it right now. And it didn't seem to detect those, smacked right into them. It wasn't going terribly fast, but it was fast enough that it was like, I heard it hit. Luckily it has the cage, so it was totally fine. But it seems to struggle with those really small, fine twigs. Otherwise, it does really well. There are some trails that I was riding around, they were very tight in between, trees is probably, I don't know, 5 feet maybe at most, 5-6 feet. And at one point there were some branches overhanging, and I remember distinctly listening to the sound, because you can hear it when it's flying behind you, listening to that sound and expecting it to hit those branches because they came out of nowhere and they were very low, but it dipped under them just totally fine. So the object detection is actually pretty good. The other time that it's crashed was also in dolly mode, and I honestly think it might be specific to that and potentially sidetrack where it's flying sideways, because there's not as many sensors. So I don't know how it's supposed to be picking up the objects exactly, but in that dolly track mode, no objects around, but I think I just kind of pushed the limit on the speed that it's able to handle. So I was coming down this road, speed was starting to pick up, and it was doing pretty good at tracking me and flying backwards, but then it's almost like I hit too fast of a speed or something, and all of a sudden it dipped forward super hard and just stopped and started flying, and I actually ran into it and knocked it to the ground. It did totally fine after that, but I do think on the dolly track mode and the side track mode, you do have to be more careful with the environment that you're in. Which makes sense. It's small, it's compact, there's no cameras on the side, so I'm not sure how it's doing that object detection or anything like that, or even what its capability is at flying backwards and tracking. On the speed side of things, it does have pretty high top speeds. In the tracking mode, any of the modes where it is just stationary and it's trying to keep track of where you are, it tracks up to about 37 miles an hour. And in follow mode or cycling, skiing, it's up to around 26, 27. So that's decently fast. Obviously, some people that might not be quite fast enough, but I think for the vast majority of users and the vast majority of the shots you're gonna get, that's gonna be just totally fine. I have noticed that it doesn't do the best when it comes to sharp decelerations specifically. Say it's following you and you slam on your brakes pretty hard. What it's gonna do is it's gonna be flying like this to keep up with you because you're going fast. But as soon as you do that, it's gonna rock back and forth. It's gonna try to stop itself. And because of that, the camera, despite it being on a gimbal, it struggles a little bit with that. And so you're gonna get a really shaky few frames right there while it tries to stop itself or slow itself down enough to catch you. The combo package is what I received from them, and so it came with the X1 ProMax, a battery, spare battery and charger, as well as a charging cable and a carrying case, which has actually been really nice. I've used that carrying case on my rides and taken the extra battery. Battery life is about 16 minutes of flight time and recording time. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but as someone that's using these for videos and specifically like, oh, I want to get this type of a shot, it's actually been pretty good. I've gone on a couple of rides of 1 to 2 hours, and I haven't run out of battery yet. I have had to swap between the two, but I'm also learning and playing with it and trying to figure out how to best use it. I also expected that battery life to be severely hindered by the cold, but so far it doesn't seem like it's having a huge impact. It has given me a warning a couple times. Only when the battery's lower, say once it gets below 20%, it will also seem to throw, in conjunction with that, a temperature warning saying that it's below 10 degrees Fahrenheit and it needs to be warmed up. I think it tells you even to put it in your pocket or something. So that's what I have done, and that seems to remedy it. It'll work a little bit longer once I warm it up a little. As you can see here on the side, you've got a USB-C port as well as an SD slot. It can take up to 1 terabyte there. I don't have anything in there right now. I've only been using the internal storage, which is 64 gigs, and that's enough to record quite a bit. I've been recording in 4K mostly. I did take a few shots, as you'll see right here, to compare 8K to 4K to 1080. In 8K, you can record up to 30 frames per second. In 4K and below, you can actually do up to 120 frames per second. So if you're wanting slow-mo shots, that'll be great for that. But the 8K is limited to 30 frames a second. Overall though, I've been really impressed with the performance side of this. I was a little worried when I first got it and opened it up. I assumed I would have some sort of device or beacon or something to put in my pocket that it would use to track me. And when I saw that it was AI based, I got even more worried. But with very few exceptions, it has worked great. As long as you launch it with it facing you, it picks you up, I would say 99% of the time, locks onto you as the object. So then when you start moving, it's tracking you or following you. It's got you there. One thing that I really hoped for with this was that it would enhance my video production, that I'd be able to get those additional shots that I've always wanted to do, but that just takes so much time that I just don't have. This doesn't resolve all of that, but it is nice that if I want to get a shot from the side or something like that, I don't have to hold a stick out awkwardly or anything like that. I don't have to have someone stand there and record me as I ride by. I can use this, but generally it is pretty fast. Switching through the modes, you can just turn it on and then push the left and right buttons and switch through to whatever mode that you want. The rest of the configuration is something that you have to do on the app, meaning if you want to change from horizontal to vertical, or where you want it to fly, you know, how high is the shot, that type of thing, you do have to do on the app. But if you have that set up for what you generally want, then yeah, you're just turning it on, holding it in your hand, pushing the button, and you've got your shot. And then the next one you want to swap to, you can just push the buttons and scroll through to get to them. So overall, really impressed by this. There are a few little quirks that I am figuring out still, but generally speaking, I think it's going to be a great addition to what I use to film and create these videos and do these reviews and all of that. So let me know what you think of this down in the comments. I've put a link in the description so you can go check it out. There's some other combinations you can buy. There's like a cycling one, there is a skiing one, and there's just, you know, a more stripped down version of this without the extra battery and stuff. Different price points on that. I think it's actually pretty reasonable for the price, given the price of say a GoPro or the DJI Action 5. Those cameras, to have one that can fly and get these other shots for you automatically for less than $1,000 is actually not a terrible deal. So again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.